Hello there ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SCUM Talkies. It's the 10th of April 2023 and we're going to be having a little look at today's SCUM Development update. Today's update is number 49. Alrighty, let's see what the programmers are up to. Working on loot spawning serialization. Now, I have a basic understanding of what serialization is in .NET. It's a language that I used to use when it came to frameworks and stuff like that for any type of software, any type of website and stuff like that. Used to build websites in .NET all the time. We don't do that anyway. Well, at least I don't think we do that anymore. It's all HTML5 and cool stuff like that, and also interesting PHP and stuff. Anyway, the process of serialization involves the conversion of any object into a stream of bytes. This is done to transmit the object to memory, file, or database. The reverse of this process is known as deserialization, as it involves reading the object from a stream of bytes. That is basically the understanding of serialization. It is basically optimization, alright? It's optimizing the loot spawning, right? So see, when they talk about serialization, it's basically saving information in a database, in a file, in a network packet or something like that, and then reading it back in a new location. Alright, so if you want to go look up what serialization actually is, Unreal Engine does some documentation on it, Unity does some documentation on it, .NET does some documentation on it. Loads of people do documentation on serialization, and it's all basically the same kind of process. For game development, I would imagine it's the same, because it's just taking information, converting it, and then reading it again. Anyway, next one, working on the cooking rework. Now, we've already covered this, but everybody's happy that this is getting worked on, because the devs for a long time have had a priority list, and now cooking is on the priority list, and everybody's happy about that. Woohoo! Anyway, next one, bug fixing, self-explanatory. You kind of know what they're doing with that. Everybody who submits kind of feedback on the Steam forums, on Reddit, on Twitter, on Discord, etc., they all get catalogued and they all get assigned a priority. I would imagine it's just the way, development works. This is the way that I used to work in development. Not game development, software development. That's the way we used to work. We used to work on feedback and we'd prioritise which was the more important thing to fix. That's why every time you see an update or a hotfix or a patch or anything like that, there are certain things that you will see in there that you've probably already given them feedback on. Next, working on the new server settings. We briefed on this last week. Not really much to go on now. We've got no information regarding the new server settings. I don't know what they could add. I don't know what else they could possibly add. I've got some personal ones that I want them to add, but there's no point throwing them at them because they've probably already got it on their list. However, next week I will probably most definitely send them a list of commands that I think they should be able to add into the game in regards to inspecting players, inspecting vehicles, and all that kind of stuff. Basically, administration side when you own a SCUM server. Alrighty. Next, implementing cooked food features. Cooked food features. What the hell does that mean? What does that mean? Implementing cooked food features. That could mean absolutely anything, and I cannot draw any sort of evidence to suggest that it might be the books, it might be, oh god, the cooking with the bowls. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. This one baffles me. Anyway, next, working on the new sentries. They're working on the animations, they're working on the sounds, they're working on the gunshots, they're working on their movements, the way that they're networked, the way that they path, the way everything. They're working on everything when it comes to the sentries, which is good to see, because the sentries are going to add an absolutely terrifying feature in this game now. I do hope that the yellow sentries are kept in, and the black ones are in fact kept in as well. Maybe in different locations. Maybe the yellow ones put in locations which are maybe like the factory, the airfield. I wouldn't like to see the black ones at the airfield. It feels too open for those ones, and those ones look like they will shoot you on sight, like 100% accuracy, like dead. That's you. You're cut out of the game. You're away back to the respawn screen. So I really do hope that they kind of differentiate where they're going to put the yellow ones and where they're going to put the black ones, or if they mix and match them, like the black ones patrol maybe high traffic areas that players have been kind of running along. When you go to an airport, or sorry, the airport, not the Delta 4 airport. I'm talking about the Bravo 1, 2 airport. The south side of that is actually quite easy to get into. The northwest side is very easy to get into. The north side's very easy to get into. The northeast side is not as easy, but people seem to get into all the hangars from there quite easily. So they might be mix and matching the yellow boys with the black boys. You never know. Anyway, next one, working on the hunting rework. Already briefed on this last week. Hunting rework's going to be cool because they're already working on the sounds, the features, and I would imagine the user interface for hunting. I'd like to see some sort of Tomislav, I'd like to see some sort of leak on the hunting rework, please. I'd like to see like maybe the butchering side of things. Is that something that we'll be covering? Because that would be a cool part of hunting. Instead of just like kind of holding F and then chop, maybe it's hold F, butcher, and you go into an animation of cutting the stomach open, or, sorry, not cut the stomach open, but open. You cut the skin back, you skin it first, and then you butcher it. That would be a cool feature. That would be a cool feature. I know you can skin it already, and then you can butcher it, and then you can chop it into wee bits and bobs and stuff like that. But it leaves out all the like unique organs, like the liver, the kidney, the stomach itself, the heart, the lungs, etc. I'd like to see all of that. I'd like to see the eyeballs popping out, like maybe put them on your index finger and your middle finger and go wee, 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 wee. I'm sorry, I'm a weirdo. Anyway, next one, working on electricity and gas systems. Now, as I said before, we covered this last week, electricity, where it's in the form of batteries. We do have car batteries. This leads me to think that we might be getting powered, possible lighting, possibly powered heating, which would be cool, because in two little items below, I'm going to be talking about just that. The gas systems. I would like to see propane or butane canisters being used. You know, the portable cooking stove. I'd like to see some use for that. I'd like to put a pan on that, and I'd like to power it on using the butane, using a propane, etc. Those tanks, and finding them in locations where they make sense to be found, like dockyards, maybe some of the military POIs, maybe some of the civilian locations, like kitchens, etc. Like kitchens, maybe not modern kitchens, but kind of, I'm not going to say poor kitchens, but, you know, caravans will have buntanes or propane tanks, because my parents have got a what do you call it, a camper van that they can travel in. So it's the motorised ones. It's no the ones that you tow. It's the ones that you drive. It's a big camper van, and they have to take 2 bottles, or at least 1 bottle or 1 tank of propane. A big propane tank, propane accessories. It's a very cool thing. It's also very explosive, which leads me to think that we might be getting propane tanks for the gas systems, and we could probably blow them up. That'd be cool. Working on the fame rebalance. Now, this is probably to do with the picking of olives and the picking of potatoes in my recent streams and videos and such. If you were to pick up a potato from a potato plant or potato field, you do in fact get 5 fame points for that. If you pick up olives, you can get anywhere between 4 and 9 fame points. Does not make sense. Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to the devs or any other players. But some people don't mind it. Some people do mind it. I don't. Well, I do mind it, because in order to get all your fame points back, you just have to go and pick a bunch of olives, and that's kind of boring, you know. You used to get lots of fame points for crafting things, like crafting a spear and an axe. You get 5 fame points maybe out of that. You craft a bag, there's an extra 4. And then maybe you make a few extra things, like the improvised compass, which is no longer in the game. Devs. They used to make a few things, like basic primitive things, and you'd get 10 fame points, at which point you could join an event, shoot a bunch of people. Doesn't matter if you get first place or last place, you got lots of fame points, and that always contributes to you going to the trader and buying things, because as we all know, The trader ties in the fame points. They will not trade with you if you have low fame points. This is just a way to deter fresh players who might find like a massive wad of cash. They could kill some random person, get thousands and thousands of dollars, thousands and thousands of scumbots, take it to the nearest bank, but all the traders will be like, yeah, but you're a nobody. I don't want to trade with you. You might have all the money in the world, but you ain't nothing on this island. Go make a name for yourself. That's what the fame points are all about, by the way. Anyway, detracting from that, working on heat source system. Now this is something that I put towards GamerBeast a wee while back. I gave it as an example of comfort levels to try and regain stamina or regain your fatigue or beat your fatigue. You know what I mean? So some people kind of mocked me for this, and I don't understand why they mocked me for this, because it does make sense. If you have a good night's sleep and you're in a comfortable bed, you will wake up a lot more refreshed after like exercising and stuff like that. And you can't say I'm lying, because I do it too. I lift weights too. I do the thing with the weights, and I do the running with the legs. I do that. And a decent night's sleep with a good meal and protein and such, it all combines, and you wake up a lot better. You don't wake up fatigued, you don't wake up like you're death, you don't look like a zombie. You wake up and you're perky and you're happy, and everybody hates you for it. So it does make sense, and a heat source system would be really cool. I'd like to see improvised heat systems. The campfire is one, we've already got it. I'd like to see some sort of like maybe log fire, you know, like a little log fire, a little not porcelain, a little metal. What the hell are they made out of? They're not metal. They're made out of bricks. A little stove. Do you know what I mean? With a little funnel going up out of your little house. It'd be cool. It'd be a really good way to maybe also deal with metabolism as well. Because if you're warm versus cold, if you're warm, you're a lot less prone to getting maybe, you know, a flu, a cold, etc. If you're cold in that and you're all, I'm shivering, your immune system goes, that's not a real thing, by the way. I don't know much about the immune system, so don't quote me on it. But going back to the heat source, it would be cool to see the heat source making an impact on your metabolism and the state of fatigue as well. So that might be something that they're working on. Interesting. And last but not least, working on the smoking feature. As I said, the flaws might be getting introduced very soon. 0.85 is, I would imagine, quite close. I would imagine it's on the cards, because they keep talking about a trailer. They keep talking about it. So, flaws will be introduced to the game. I think they're going to start with smoking, because it's probably the easiest one to deal with. It's probably one that's going to be tied directly to your stamina, your fatigue. Obviously, and this is just the way things are. But if you smoke, you've got bad lungs. If you've got bad lungs, your respiratory system's a wee bit knackered, and you running for a long period of time is not going to work. So, smoking feature is a new flaw. They'll probably work on alcoholism, they'll probably work on drug addiction, they'll probably work on like being an arsonist and stuff like that, like a psycho, absolute loony, woo, you know what I mean? But the flaws are going to be introduced to the game probably in 0.85, starting with the smoking feature, which is really cool. It's going to be very interesting to see what the pros and cons are with smoking. Anyway, let's move on to the level design. Alright, level designers, let's see what's on your list. Tweaking loot spawners. Now, we dwelled on this a bit last week in last week's update. There was not much to really say on that, other than they're working on it. They're working on loot spawners. Now, loot spawners can be anything from dead puppets to destroyed cars, fridges, cupboards, drawers, you know, that kind of thing, or the military crates, or the locked containers on the wall and stuff like that. That's all the loot spawners and stuff like that. Also, the open loot spawners as well, which is the loose loot that you'll find inside garages, like for example going into a mechanical bay and finding a car door or a alternator or something of the sort. Basically, they're tweaking that. Next, working on the abandoned city level design. Now, I really hope that they put some similarities to Pripyat in the abandoned city in terms of the general looks of it. what I mean by that is I want them to try and base some of the what's the word that I'm looking for? The blueprints or the schematics of Pripyat, like maybe following the same kind of road system. Do you know what I mean? Pripyat is a very open and dead location, so I would expect there to be a lot of vegetation, not a lot of cars and such, because it's Pripyat. It's meant to kind of show off that there's nobody living there anymore. There shouldn't be a lot of cars there, personally speaking, because like if they're kind of following the same route as Pripyat, there shouldn't be a lot of cars because everybody's evacuated. Do you know what I mean? So I want it to be barren, but I want it to be taken over by nature. I want the buildings to have that kind of what's that stuff? Ivy. The ivy growing up the walls and like moss growing over the top of like fire hydrants. Weeds growing out of the concrete. You know, areas where the concrete and the buildings have just completely split apart, and maybe there's a tree growing up the centre of it or up the middle of it. It'd be a really cool way to see this city, because Samobor is kind of destroyed. It's kind of post-apocalyptic. Everything's on fire. Everything's destroyed. Things are just in a complete state of anarchy and decay. However, I'd like to see the abandoned city to have a more abandoned feel to it. I want it to look as though nature has taken over it. Alrighty, next, abandoned city optimizations. Very happy to see, very happy to know that they're going to be optimizing it. Hopefully they're going to deter some of the problems that we had in the past with Samobor and Novogorod. Hopefully this city it hits it on the head, it hits the nail on the head, and everything goes smoothly, everything goes fine. Obviously this won't be the case, because some people might have problems with it. Lower end PCs might have a problem with it. Higher end PCs, mid-range, might have a problem with it. We never know until we actually see the update, but I'm happy to see that they're actually optimizing everything in the current state that it's in. Finished the Culture Centre building. This is cool. Now, I tried to look around for the Culture Centre building kind of screenshots, and we do actually have screenshots of it. It's this big auditorium here. I think this is the Culture Centre. I think. I'm not 100% sure. This could be a completely different building. I don't know, because I don't believe they've leaked anything with the Culture Centre building. However, now that they've finished it, they might be able to take some really high resolution photos, nice leaked photos for Twitter and Reddit and YouTube and my channel. Alright, next one, optimizing abandoned city UE blueprints, Unreal Engine blueprints. Okay, this will probably be to do with like the lampposts and the small items that render in as you're kind of traversing into the city itself. If you were to go into what's probably the fastest vehicle in the game right now, maybe the Leica or the Volkswagen, and you drive into Samobor and you just hell-bent straight into it, you'll notice that some things don't load in fast enough, that they don't render quick enough. It might have something to do with that. They might be the blueprints that render in as you get closer to the city. Do you know what I mean? It might be something completely different. We'll never know until we see the update. Next, level designers are doing some bug fixing. Not much to go on there. They're helping with the programmers. That's good to see. And the last thing is setting up puppet spawners in the abandoned city. Now, I really do hope that they do... What's the problem? How do I want to tackle this? I hope they look at the puppet spawners in a logical sense. I want them to spawn in the streets. I want them to spawn in the bottom levels. I don't want them to spawn at the top of the buildings and jumping down and dying. I don't want them to do that, alright? I want them to spawn on the bottom, on the ground floor, in the streets, in the parking lots, in and around the square where the Azure Bath would be, or where the Ferris wheel would be. I want them just wandering aimlessly there. Do you know what also occurred to me, by the way? And this is not to do with the level design. If the male models are getting an update, by the way, are the puppets also getting an update with it as well? Things to think about. Anyway, let's move on to the art team. Gee willikers, art team. What the hell? This is just the same from last week. Right, first one, working on the new trailer. happy to see. It's going to be 0.85. It will not be 0.9. It's going to be 0.85. We're halfway through the development life cycle of 0.8 towards 0.9. So that will be the trailer that we'll be seeing fairly soon. Next one is one that we covered last week. Working on new male model textures. I'm very happy to see that. Hopefully they release some leaked photos of the male models in the new fashion state as well, maybe with a military, a civilian, and maybe like a survival, like 3 different types of kind of clothing outfits. Full military, tactical with the boots and all the gear to go with it. Civilian / survivor, do you know what I mean? Kind of normal clothing, maybe a gunner here at that. And the kind of primitive look with the bear head or the wolf head, or the goat head, or the boar head, or something like that. Just a primitive guy. So, military guy, civilian guy, primitive guy. That's the kind of leak that I want to see with those guys. Next, working on the new bunkers concept art. Now, with the concept art that we've seen recently, and Tomislav also stating this, that some bunkers will be in a whole state. They'll be fully functioning bunkers, and there will also be destroyed bunkers, like decayed bunkers, abandoned bunkers, with maybe the remnants or the corpses of Tech 1 personnel or the Sentry lying in a completely destroyed state, with maybe something living within that bunker. Now, one thing that Tomislav did in fact say was regarding the corpse of an animal, I believe it was a deer, that something else is in your area, and it was this thing that has done this damage to this deer. Now, that could mean new AI, something new to fight, something new to tackle, something that will actively hunt you if you go within its grounds, within its territory. And its territory is going to be the abandoned bunkers, the destroyed, decayed bunkers. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very, very cool thing to see. I wonder what kind of animal or what kind of mutant we're going to be faced up against. I wonder if it's going to be that one that Tomislav posted about that's got blades in their forearms, and they jump and they move at breakneck speeds, and they jump and they just impale you with these massive big blades that are feeding out of their arms. Be a really cool thing to see. Right, next one, working on the cooking rework assets. Now, we've already covered the assets. Last week we covered the assets in terms of like cooking bowls, pots, grills and such like that. So that's not something that I can kind of chat about right now, because we've already talked about it. If you want to go to last week's, you can see at the end of this video that video will be placed there on the title cards. So if you want to go have a wee look at that, wait for the end of the video. Next one, working on cruiser model elements low poly. Okay, cruiser elements, huh? Low polygons, huh? Is it? is the cruiser gonna be a low poly cruiser? Oh, that's interesting. That's actually quite interesting. The cruiser modular elements. So the modular elements are going to be to do with the armouring of it. Last week we showed a picture of it, and I'll show another picture of it here. You can quite clearly see that this cruiser is in fact up armoured. So you are sitting behind what is essentially a big steel shield, or some reinforced metal shield, where it allows you to barrel towards your target without getting shot, essentially from the front. If you're at the side or the back, you can quite clearly get shot. It's quite obvious that you can get shot. It's not like an encased motorcycle, but this is cool. This is going to be a cool thing. Anyway, not much else to talk about on this. We've seen some half decent photos of them, the concept art of them, what they're actually going to look like in terms with their modular design. It's very cool, very happy to see it, can't wait to use it. Next, working on new Sentry animations. We've already covered this last week. New Sentry animations are going to be wild, they're going to be cool. I like the way that they stop when Tomislav featured them on his Twitter. When they stop, they kind of put up their antenna and they're like, is there anybody here? They kind of look around like 180 degrees from the left to the right. They kind of, you know, is there anything here? Is there anything that I can spot? If there's nothing here, I'm going to continue on my path. So that's cool. And adjusting clothing to the new male models. Very, very happy. Very happy, Feudal. Happy. Oh, I can't wait to see them. I'm so excited. Other people are very excited for like different types of concepts that are coming to the game. I'm very, 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 very excited when it comes to the male models, because the male models at the moment, albeit they're okay, they're not like the female models. The female models look fine. They look so fine. They look so good. But the male models are going to look even better. They're going to look... I mean, come on, lads. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? It's going to be good. Anyway, let's move on to what that one sound guy's working on. Alrighty, that one sound guy. Let's see what you've been working on. Working on hunting rework sounds, and this is good because, as we know, hunting is getting a rework. I think we're getting a new user interface for it, and I'm hoping that the sounds are associated with skinning and butchering the animal. I really do hope that those are the sounds, like the sounds of the knife shearing through the hide and the sounds of a knife cutting through flesh and stuff like that. There'll be various types of noises, various types of sound effects and stuff like that, and also tracking any sort of animal as well, if there's going to be any sort of, like, you know, if you're following the dung pile of a bear, if you're trying to test to see if it's dry or if it's wet, what they've been eating, or how, I don't know, how healthy they're eating. I don't know why you would sniff poop. I'm not a hunter. I go fishing. I use a lure. I don't pick up crap and huff it. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Some hunters actually do that, and it's absolutely stinking. Right, next. Working on new sentry sounds. This is good. I hope the sounds from the sentries are very unique. They're more intimidating. They make it sound more heavy and menacing. I really do hope that they get also their own unique voice lines, that they're not rehashed from the yellow sentries. It would be very, very, very good move of them to add in new sound effects and new voice lines for those sentries. Again, we talked about this last week. Not much to talk on now. And last one, reworking animal audio. This is good because some of the animals in the game are really loud and they've got really strange sound effects. Specifically the deer. The deer has got a very, very strange sound to it. Now, one thing that I want them to bring back, and I believe the deers are out of the game, that they cannot spawn anymore. That if they do reintroduce the deers, if they put a buck, I really want them to put in the I wouldn't call it the trademark sound of a buck calling out in heat or during a mating season, but that sound, that loud belch that you hear from a male deer or elk or anything like that, it's really like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like blood curdling. It sounds like it's like coming after you, but it's not doing that. It's just calling out for a mate in mating season. But that's about it from the sound guy. There's not really much to go on. Only 3 things this week. Anyway, moving on to the QA and CM. They've been hunting and banning cheaters. They've been going through ban appeals. They've been looking through the general discussions on Steam with bug reports and such. They have been doing performance benchmarking and optimizing the testing phase, testing upcoming features, and covering various bug reports. So, round of applause to them because they're doing their job. Also, there's two last things from the design team at the very bottom of this dev update. Working on new server voting options. Now, there's one little server voting option that I want to kind of throw at them, kind of chuck at their face. This is a server option to temporarily turn off the sentries, like maybe power them off. Do you know what I mean? So, maybe once a day, or maybe twice a week, or twice every weekend, like maybe once on a Saturday and once on a Sunday, players can vote if they want to turn off sentries for a duration of time, like maybe an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and from that time, all the sentries shut down. They're still there, but you're now under a time constraint, because now that the sentries are, deactivated for a short time, really, you can now go into bunkers, loot it all up, and engage with other players, or you can shoot them. You can just play Scum. Play Scum the way Scum's meant to be played. Shoot people. Be a con. Be a criminal. Do the thing. Stabby stabby. Anyway, Other thing, working on new feature documents as well. Now this could be to do with possible, extras with the DLCs that we've currently got, like the Supporter Pack 1 and 2. This could be to do with that, it could be to do with the comics, it could be to do with absolutely anything. It could be digital art, it could be like little extras that we get, or the feature documents could be something completely related to something that's on their end, like a business end or something like that. But anyway, that is going to be Dev Update number 49. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys are actually enjoying these little videos as well, because I get to throw my little opinion in here, maybe a little comedy here, because I'm a funny guy. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe for more, you can do so. It's up to you. I don't mind. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching again. And as always, I've been Mr. Feudal. I'll see you all another time.